Jake, you are looking sharp this morning, bro.
Thanks, my friend. You too with your can sweatshirt. It's just a
I was
crazy
like,
shirt,
needed something bright with this gray day.
right?
Jake, ever since you mentioned like, hey, do you ever think you're on the wrong psalm? I now like question myself every day.
Sorry.
What? Hey, if our students don't know what psalm we're on, where could they go to find it?
They could go to Instagram and in the story highlight thing, you can click that and watch through. It'll tell you.
Yeah, and we put it out in the youth newsletter each week too. Little, they could like download it and
Yeah,
save it to their. They could print it off and put it on their fridge.
love it. Or make it their wallpaper.
Psalm 83. What'd you come away with on this one, bro?
Yeah, Psalm 83. The way I kind of just read it is basically a call for God to deliver Israel from their enemies and to
Yeah.
defeat their enemies, and with some pretty strong language to really put the enemy to shame. And I was just thinking about that, and that's interesting, but it doesn't necessarily translate into our context in the exact
Sure.
same way. Unless we were to try and like pray before our sports games or something like, Lord, put the enemy to shame. But I don't think that's the idea. But what did come to mind is in Colossians chapter 2, verse 15 specifically, it says, speaking of Jesus, and having disarmed the powers and authorities, he made a public spectacle of them, triumphing over them by the cross. And then it goes on to kind of inform how we're to live in response to that. So we talked about this, I think, yesterday, but our enemies, principalities, powers, Satan, it's a spiritual battle that we're in. And on the cross, Colossians says Jesus defeated our enemy. He with strong language, it says he made a public spectacle of them. He put them
Mhm.
to shame, conquering sin and death. And I just thought it was cool because immediately following, I just kind of read it through the rest of Colossians 2. But it just talks about different ways that we're to live in light of that. And essentially, that's Christianity, right? We're living in response to the victory that Jesus won over our enemy and over our sin, and in response to the invitation that he extends our way to come out of darkness and death and into his light and into this new life. And so kind of a cool reminder of those things. But what came to your mind?
Yeah, it is. This is an interesting, unique psalm because it's definitely more like historical, right? It's identifying people groups that were causing issues for the Israelites. This psalm supposedly is one in this group of psalms we've had 79 through 83 of like being exiled. And but I love, like, I think the thing that stuck out for me, two verses towards the end, 16 and 18, where the prayer of the psalmist is that those that are oppressing them will actually be turned to then seek the name of the Lord. And so I thought that was cool too, where even in that instance, and Jesus taught us this, like, love our enemies. What does that look like? How can we do it in a way in which they maybe will walk away, like the prayer here, would you bring them to shame, Lord? Bring them low so that they recognize their need for you. That's the prayer of someone who's being like oppressed by these other people groups, being exiled, literally like taken out of your home. To it'd be like someone coming and taking us to, I don't know, let's use a real, like, Canada. But it'd be like them capturing us, be like, yep, sorry, you get to start saying a boot instead of about. And we're like, what? That's crazy. um, and then we're there just praying that the Lord would like show them who he is. And so I just thought that was kind of a cool, in a weird historical psalm that's like, what what do we do with this one? there still is kind of a cool lesson there and a cool encouragement.
Yeah, that's so cool, man. Love it.
Right on. Well, moving right along. When we started, we had said we do this until we can meet in person. Do you think that'll cut us off from getting to the end of Psalms potentially?
I hope so, just because I miss meeting.
Yeah.
But well, it's the compass, right? So we're
Yeah,
just hoping and praying, and either way, God's good, right?
that's right. Amen. All right, bro. Love you, man.
You.